I am introducing to my scholars, that is Mahabub Mahalat, Hassan Mahalat, and Saurabh Roy. These two fellows first demonstrate the entire session. Okay, so let's start.
Thank you, sir. How? Okay. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Today, at first, we will implement an arbiter path on FPGA. Then we will see on application of path to authenticate IoT device. Okay. So let's start. So we perform this demonstration using PCS based, using arbiter path, particularly PCS based arbiter path. So PCS based arbiter path. It is a special kind of arbiter path which is particularly useful for FPGA to implement in FPGA. Actually, it is very difficult to implement an arbiter path on FPGA because FPGA has some rigid constant. The logics are already placed and the connections are already there, so we need to use that connection. So this is a special kind of arbiter path that is called path based on path changing switch, and the whole details is here. If anyone interested, the details here in this paper. Okay. So what is a PCS? PCS is a switching structure like this, which contains 4 inverter and 3 multiplexers. And using this 2 line, this select line, we can choose any one among these 4 inverters. So there are 4 combination possibles using this 2 select line, and by cascading this, I think you already knew what is an arbiter path. Arbiter path just compare delay of 2 symmetric paths, and based on the race, it will produce output as 1 or 0. So cascading this PCS, this arbiter path is formed. See, this is PCS1 to PCSN. This is one delay path, and this is another delay path. And these two should be symmetric. And at the end of this delay path, there is an arbiter. This is particularly based on SR latch. This will be easy to implement on FPGA. Previous paper shown. That's why this is based on arbiter SR latch, not the dedicated arbiter in an FPGA device. And there in each PCS there are 2 select line. So using n such as PCS, 2n and arbiter path with 2n challenge is possible. And there is a enable logic to trigger this delay path simultaneously. So you can see this enable logic has 3 parts. One is primary enable. This will take the input from outside, and then it will trigger the top and bottom delay path simultaneously. This design will help to simultaneously trigger the delay path. Otherwise, it is very difficult to trigger the delay path simultaneously in an FPGA device. So I think this is the basics. Simple. Just enable the 2 delay paths simultaneously, and this will trigger the arbiter. And based on the delay, this will produce output as 1 or 0. So we are at first we will implement this design in Spartan 3 FPGA, which is a very basic FPGA starter kit, but it will be easy to understand then. This is a CLB of the Spartan 3 FPGA. A CLB is a basic building block of an FPGA, and you can see inside this CLB there are some slices. See? Slice L, slice L, slice M, slice M. There are 4 slices inside this particular FPGA, and we need only 3 slices to implement a PCS. And these are lookup table. Lookup table is basically a marks. These are 4 input lookup tables. sorry, not 4 input lookup tables. These are basically marks with 16 inputs and 4 select lines. So any function, any 4 input function can be implemented using this lookup table. And we will implement the inverter using this 4 lookup table, and that muxes also 2 muxes also using this lookup table. And then we'll connect these 2 muxes with the third muxes using this F5 dedicated F5 mux. So I think it is clear. Now, as these PCS are symmetric, at first we will write the code Verilog code. We will use Verilog. One can also use VHDL. Here we will use Verilog. At first we will write down the code for this particular PCS. Then we will instantiate the code. Then form the whole delay path. I will show you step-by-step procedure. And after writing the code, we need to make the delay path symmetric. For that, we will use directed routing constant feature, which is present in the FPGA editor, which is a software present with the Xilinx software. So in the software, we will use directed routing constant to make the delay path symmetric. Okay. So just go to the next slide. So after implementing the PCS based FF, it will look like this. See, here is the primary enable, top and bottom enable. Here is the top delay path and the bottom delay path. You can see these delay paths are exactly symmetric. And after this delay path, this is the arbiter. There is some little difference in this top and bottom delay path, but we will check. This will not hamper our design. We will show this. And also in this last slice, we have modified it a little bit to place it symmetrically. You can check these are a little bit different than this, but these are symmetric. This last CLB of top delay path and bottom delay path, these are symmetric. And any 2 symmetric PCS are symmetric. So software we are going to use, we will use Xilinx Ice Webpack. This is freely available from Xilinx. You can use this. There is another paid version, but for this particular experiment, we only need this Ice Webpack. And in PC, we will use MATLAB. Particularly, we use MATLAB for to perform serial communication with the FPGA board. You can use any other software to perform serial communication. And hardware, we will implement this design in Xilinx Spartan 3 starter kit, which is powered by Spartan 3 FPGA. And also we will check this on a newer FPGA, which is DigiLine Nexus 4 powered by RTX 7 FPGA. We will show the details implementation on this and only the implementation on this FPGA newer. Okay. So with these basics, I can okay, we can start the experiment. Okay, this is the Xilinx Ice software. Okay, we are going to use. Or okay, let me quickly describe this software. Okay, this software has several features. Oh, first of all, okay, let me at first quickly create a new project first. Suppose I am creating a new project. And we are going to use HDL. You can also use schematic EDF, but we are here. We will use HDL. And here you need to set up the board. Okay, here the default is RTX 7. Just change this to Spartan 3. Okay, this setting will be provided with the board in the documentation. Okay, whichever board you will use. Okay, so don't bother with this. Next, finish. See, like this, you can create a new project. And here is the setting. Okay, so close this window. Then open the actual window. So don't bother with this code. This is the code we are going to implement This is the top module. This is called top module. That means whenever I will run this software, this module will run. Okay. So check. This module has 4 parts. You have 4 or 5 parts. Okay. This is enable logic. We already knew what is enable logic to trigger the 2 delay paths simultaneously. This is the top delay path and this is the bottom delay path and this is the latch and at the end of the arbiter. Okay, it will capture the delay difference and based on the delay difference it will produce output as 1 or 0. And this is the microbladge microcontroller. It is used to perform the serial communication between the FPGA board and the PC. Instead, also you can use PicoBladge, which is much lighter, but the framework for this is readily available with this software. So here we have used this software. At first, let me quickly run this software. Before that, just clean up this. Okay. Now, at first we have to synthesize the design. Okay. Let me synthesize it. It will take some time. Okay. In the meantime, let me describe this code quickly. This is the input and output of the code. UARTRX and UARTTX are stand for serial receiver and serial transmitter. These are 2 lines we are going to use. One for receive the signal from FPGA board and another to give some signal to FPGA board. This is a clock. It is the inbuilt clock of FPGA. Particularly for this board, it is 50 MHz. In case of RTX 7, it is 100 MHz. And this is used to reset the microbladge microcontroller. Okay. And yes, this is the select line. We are going to implement a 64-bit arbiter buffer. This is a select line. Sorry, this is a challenge. And this is the instance for enable logic. Okay. This is primary enable. Okay. There will be another 2 instances, one for top enable, another for bottom enable. This is for top enable and this is for bottom enable. These 2 are symmetry. We just instantiated a particular code and implement this design. After implementing the top and bottom enable, this is the top delay path and this is the bottom delay path, M1 and M2. And this S2S, these are input from top and input for input to challenge for these 2 delay paths, and outX and outY are the outputs. W1 and W2 are the connecting wire. And at the end, this is the latch. This will take output outX and outY from the top and bottom delay path and produce the final output, that is Q. Okay. One more thing. This is the instance of the microbladge microcontroller. Okay. Particularly, we are controlling the whole FPGA using this microbladge for this particular experiment. And these are challenge and output. Everything is there. Okay. Let me open the instance for this. Okay. Synthesis is done. Now we can implement the design. Before implementing the design, let me check. Quick check. See, the clock frequency is 50 MHz. This is the inbuilt clock inside the FPGA. You can reduce the clock frequency further if you want. And this is the size of the microbladge. It will sit inside the memory present in the FPGA device. This is the connection, serial connection. And baud rate is 19200. You can change this baud rate if you wish. And we are dividing the clock to create some interrupt. This is the C input, input and C output. This 32 for the challenge, 32 plus 32, that means 64. And this is one input to the microbladge. This is for the output of the arbiter buffer. Okay, cancel out this. Okay. Now, after synthesizing the design, we need to implement the design. Okay. So implement this design. It will take some time. Just hold on. Okay, map is done. Steps are like this: translate, map, then place and route. Okay, you can find more details of the steps in any documentation of the styling guys or any documentation of FPGA device. And actually, this is a package of software. There are several softwares present inside this styling size, and some interesting one are this plan ahead. Okay, I think it is done. The interesting one among this is this planner software. Okay, you can check your design and also place the design accordingly using this software. Okay, let me quickly open this plan ahead. Okay, it will take some time, I think. Okay, simultaneously let me open the another important software, that is FPGA editor. Okay, this one. Okay. Okay. See, inside the FPGA board, this is a logical diagram. This will look like this. Okay, this contains our microBridge microcontroller. Okay, let me zoom out this, and this portion is the arbiter part. Zoom out further. Okay, you can check what is inside this slice. Okay, let me. See, this is a CLB which contains 4 slices: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we are using this lookup table. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this F5 marks to implement a PCS. And there are several PCS. You can see these are symmetric. Okay. So you can using this software you can create in constant user defined constant to place the arbiter path. Okay. So to design any path on FPGA, it will be very useful. And this is the microBridge. Okay, we have already placed this in particular place. Okay, so let me close this. Sorry. So now open another. Let me open another interesting software, that is FPGA editor. Okay, there is another software called Xilinx Vivado. That is the newer version. Okay, you can also use that software instead of this one. Okay, and I think GUI is almost symmetric. And this is the actual diagram inside the FPGA device. Okay, and these blue portions are the arbiter buff. Okay, let me zoom out this. See, this portion contains the arbiter buff. Okay, let me mark this portion. This red portion contains our implemented arbiter path. Okay, So I did not mark the enable logic, I think. Arbiter enable. Yeah. Let me do this. Let me zoom out this further. Let's see what is inside this. This is the implemented arbiter buff. As you can see, this is a particular PCS. You can check this PCS and this PCS is exactly symmetric except the some outside wire. See, this wire is not symmetric and this is not required. This is S62. That means this is challenge base 62. Okay, except this portion, these are exactly symmetric. These to this, and this is at last. This is the arbiter. Okay, we have implemented this arbiter using the heart macro feature of FPGA editor to make it symmetric. Okay, you can find out in, you can Google it out. What is the heart macro? Okay, it contains it preserves the physical constant, basically placement and routing constant. Let me check the connecting wire between the two delay bars and the arbiter. This should be symmetric ideally. This is one connecting wire. This is another. Okay. Although this looks like symmetric, but not exactly. Let me check the delay. See here, this is the delay. One is 0.398 nanosecond, another is 0.410. So there is a difference of, I think, 0.012 nanosecond. Okay, so this will not hamper the design because just go to the enable. Okay, this is the primary enable and this is top and bottom. Now check the connecting wire among this. This is the connecting wire between the top bottom enable and the primary enable. This should be symmetric, these two wire. But check. See, one is 4.493, another is 0.481. So again, difference is minus, here difference is plus 0.012 nanosecond. In previous case, it was minus. So this will cancel out the bias. Okay. So our implemented arbiter buff is almost symmetric. One more thing, when you are implementing this arbiter buff, initially this will not be symmetric. You need to make this symmetric by importing the physical constant. Okay. Let me close this one. This is not required. See, there is another file, USAF file, that is user constant file. Inside this file, there are several constants. Okay, this you will tell the software to place the pass in exact location. Okay, these large constants, actually you can generate this constant automatically. You need to first generate the constant for a particular PCS. Then using that, just you can create the constant for another PCS. Okay, because these are symmetry, like only the placement are different. See, this is slice 2631 and this is 2633, like this. Okay, this is a long list, I think. See, these are all constant. You can generate these constants from FPGA editor as well as from Planet. Some of the constants are generated from FPGA Planet and some are generated from FPGA editor. So okay, let me go to the slide. Okay, you can check. This implementation is exactly symmetric with the implemented design in FPGA editor. This is just rotated by 90-degree clockwise. Okay, so now we are done. We are ready. Now, I think the board is visible. Okay. This is the Spartan 3 FPGA, actual FPGA, and this is the supporting. Okay, supporting circuit. Using this pin, you can provide input to this board using this pin, or this pin. Okay, and this is called USB JTAG cable. Okay, using this cable, we can configure this board. There are some more options to configure this board, but right now we are using this cable. Okay, this is the power cable. And this is serial cable. Okay, using this serial cable, okay, we will take we will provide the challenge as well as collect the response from this board. Okay. So let me configure this board first.
Hello, sir. What is the name of the board?
1 minute.
Which board?
Which board? This is Spartan 3 starter kit. Spartan 3 starter kit. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So to configure this, just go here. So at first we need to generate the programming file. Generate this first. This will take some time. Okay, just hold on. Yeah, it is configured. Now configure the target device.
Sir, is the board visible? We are not
screen.
able to see it.
See, this is JTechGen.
Is the board visible, sir? We are
This is
unable
the
to see.
file. Okay, it will generated from this code. This now program, you can check the light will change inside this board. See? Now we have programmed this board. Now this you can close this window. This is not required. Now minimize this. Now we need to provide challenge as well as take output from the board. For that we'll use MATLAB. Okay. So I have already write down the code here. Let me open this.
কত সময় লাগলো?
Okay, it will take some time. Okay, just open, I think. Yeah. So this is the code to connect to collect the challenge access pair. At first, let me check the port number. Okay, let's go to device manager. See, port is COM port. Okay, this is okay. All right. Okay, the response will be printed here, and the challenge will be collected from this file challenge.csv. I have already written some random challenge. Okay, so let's run. See, these are response, on-bit response against the challenge. These are printing here. Okay, I have run this loop for 100. Okay, 100 responses. This will provide 100 challenge, and against the challenge, 100 response will be generated. Okay, so like this, we can collect the challenge pair from the FPGA device. Okay, let me close this. I think it is not required. Okay, so we have implemented an arbiter bus and successfully configured the FPGA device with that arbiter bus. Now we will see one application of this arbiter bus. Okay, now let me go to the one more thing. Same design we can also implement in Spartan 3 board. Okay, here we are not showing the design, but I have already configured some RTX 7 board using that design. I will show you later. Just go to the PDF. Sorry. Okay. So we'll see on application of PAF for IoT. This is the brief code. Okay. This has been published here. Okay. The link is here. If you are interested, you can find the details here. I will just discuss at the required portion. This is a simple protocol where the IoT device will try to connect with the router, okay, using Wi-Fi. Okay, this is a Wi-Fi authentication protocol. That means IoT device will be connected with some authentic router, as well as router will check the IoT device is authentic or not. Because suppose we are using Mac, okay, we can protect our Wi-Fi using Mac. We can disable, enable any Mac, but Mac can be spoofed. So instead of Mac, we will use PAF generated channel nonsense pair. So what it does, at first it will generate some 3 channel nonsense pair from the IoT device, and in a secure environment, the challenge will be stored inside the router. See, there are 3 channel nonsense pair, and whenever the IoT device requests the router for connection, then it will generate a random number of nodes and hide that CRP except one challenge. All are hidden. See, all challenges are hidden, response are hidden, and send it back to the IoT device. IoT device, only the authentic IoT device can generate the nonce, because it depends on the response against the PAF challenge. So it can generate the nonce. Once it's generated the nonce, it can decrypt these challenges. Basically, this is job. Okay. Then it will check if the router is authentic or not using the response. If the response matches with the general response inside the IoT device, that means the router is authentic. Then again it will generate some 3 channel nonsense pair and send it to the router, along with another response to check to prove its authenticity to the router. Okay, and these are some correction. Okay, I will discuss this in detail. See, this is called one-time enrollment phase. In this phase, what happens? CRP are collected from IoT device, and they are kept inside the secure database of the server, and this need to perform in a secure environment. So one challenge is given to the IoT device, response is collected, and one more thing, PAF response we already knew. I think PAF response are not 100% reliable, so you need to use some error correcting code. Here we will use fuzzy extractor. You can Google it out. Otherwise, we will also provide some paper if you need for fuzzy extractor, how to generate the reliable code using fuzzy extractor. So fuzzy extractor will check some unreliable response and generate the response and helper data. Okay. So challenge, this response generated from that is key. We will call it a key. The challenge key and the helper data corresponding will be stored inside the router. See this tip there. So one-time enrollment phase is done. Now connection can be established between IoT and the router. So this is connection initialization phase. In this phase, at first IoT device send its MAC address with the request to the router. Router will check inside its database. If the MAC address is present, then only it will proceed. Otherwise, it will terminate the connection. Okay. So next, router authentication phase. In this phase, IoT device will check router is authentic or not. How? At first, see, router will hide the responses. Here, these are K3 and K2 using the newly generated nonce as well as the challenge C2 and C1 dash. And here only the adversary only can see C3, the challenge, and it will not hamper the protocol. Ideally, this helper data should not leak any information about the response, but some attack are possible. Okay, some research are going on. In IoT device, it will generate the corresponding response against the challenge C3 and extract the nonce. Using this nonce, it will decrypt C1 and C2 and check and generate R2 and check R2 with the K2. Not exactly, it will generate the K2 dash using a fuzzy extractor. Okay, then it will check. If it is okay, then it is authentic. Router is authentic, otherwise not. Okay, otherwise it will assume either the router is not authentic or the code is tampered, integrity not maintained. Okay. In the last phase, the router will check. See, client will send the message to the router. Router will check it is authentic or not. Okay, and if it is authentic, then it will check the integrity of the newly generated CRP using the hash value. If it is okay, then it will store the newly generated CRP. Okay, next time this CRP will be used. Okay, and one thing about this protocol, this will never reveal any CRP to the adversary. Okay, so with these basics, we can now start the practical session for this protocol. Okay, let me go hand over to my colleague Saurabh.
Yes. The application will show. For that, the hardware we require is a Raspberry Pi board and the previously shown Xilinx board that we are using is DigiLate Nexus 4 board. We will also show you that. So first we will go with that Raspberry Pi board. So this is the Raspberry Pi. You can see here, this is the Raspberry Pi board. This is the Raspberry Pi Model 3 we are using. And the board contains, this is the processor and that HDMI cable, 5-volt power, and this memory card slot, and 40-pin GPIO, and this USB port and Ethernet cable. It also comes with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi support. So this is our applications. And to install now, to run up this board, we need operating system, that is Linux based operating system, Raspbian OS. So to go with that, I will show you the operating system. From the official website, you also can download the Raspberry Pi operating system. That we recommend you to go through that Raspberry Pi. So this is direct download. So here the downloader file will open and you can download it. And once this is downloaded, you have to collect it using the ISO file. That ISO file you can mount it using Rufus or any other ISO mounting device, mounting software. You can easily, and you have to install it in the memory card. And this memory card can be plugged in this section. So now this is the IoT device. Raspberry Pi is complete. Now it can be performed in operation. Second thing we require to control this Raspberry Pi called IoT. We call this IoT devices, and also we are using the same thing as a server. So two Raspberry Pi we will use. One is for client and one is for server. That is called the router in our authentication protocol. So two Raspberry Pi we will use, and to control this remotely through our desktop, we will use SSH client, that is PuTTY. And for file transfer using that SSH, we will use WinSCP. So both these things you can download. Both are the open source. Even Raspberry Pi OS is also open source, so you can download it from this. Just I can show you from here. So you can download this PuTTY software from here, the zip file, and also WinSCP. On the official website, you can download these things also. Okay, so this is the all that we require, and the connecting wires, that is basically we are using USB to micro USB to connect with all our devices. And one of the the IoT device is connected in our setup with the recently shown PUF that is designed on the FPGA board. And here, this is the diagram. You can show the IoT device. It is connected with the FPGA board where the PUF is designed, and the communication will be done through the router. And here in this section, the authentication protocol will open. So we will demonstrate that now. So the hardware you can show. This is the server. We have connected a display board to check the IP addresses, and this is the server. And then it is a client. You can see this is the client, and the client is connected with the using this USB is connected with the PUF, and the PUF is designed on the FPGA that recently shown by our senior fellow. Now we will show you the application. In the application, first we will connect the SSH. To connect with the Raspberry Pi or the IoT device and the server, we need to go with that same Wi-Fi address. So here we are using our same Wi-Fi address that is connected with this Research Lab Wi-Fi. We are using for both the IoT device and our system, remotely controlled by system. So for that, to search with IoT IP address, we are just doing it manually, but you can also go with that advanced IP scanner software that is also available. That is also available, but currently we are showing it using manual. So manually, I just show you. Can you please zoom into this? Yeah. Here from the terminal, if we go to yeah, you can see the IP address. This is the IP address for the server. And same thing we can go with that client also. We will search. So we will connect the IoT device using the PuTTY. So we put the IP address. Here the login name, by default the Raspberry Pi comes with the login name as Pi and the password is Raspberry. So now the window is open, so I can control it remotely. So this is my Pi screen. So I will go to my folder where I have installed the Python. So Python code for this IoT application. Here we have in this folder, we have that server program for the Pi. So we will run it. Before the run, I will also start the client phase also. And the client IP address I put that I previously find it without wasting any time. Just a second, very nice. Okay, now it came. So the client also start. So first, as in this section, don't take too much time. This one-time enrollment phase, or you can say in this authentication protocol, this is in the router database against the ID, we will storing a challenge response set of 3 challenge response pair. So this will be done in one-time enrollment phase of the authentication protocol, and this will be done in a secure environment. So first, we will create a new database for the PUB-based IoT application to the server or the router, and this will be done using first, actually we have previously done it, so I will have to remove the database from the server, then I will install. I will show you from the beginning. So let me remove the database. So I have removed the previous database, so now it is completely blank. So I will create the database instance and then I will add it. So using SQL Alchemy, I am importing the database for the server, and I will create the instances for the server. So the database creation is done. So now I will enter data, challenge response pair of the PUB that is designed with the PUB with the IoT device, and I will enter it to the server database of the server. So exiting, now I will execute. So our web application is running on. So I will go to that application and you can see that web page, just a basic web page. This is our IP address. So here against the address, against the ID of the IoT device, we'll store 3 set of challenge response pair, and it will add to the database. So for that, we will go to the PUB instance, which is set up in the client side. So now I will go to that. You can see here C is given. So I will create the PUB. So we are in the PUB function that is enrolled in the FPGA. So now from in this PUB, we will give the challenge and the corresponding response we will get, and we will record it to the server database. Inside the PUB function, we will enter any random set of challenges. Again, we need 3. So I will first create 3 set of challenge response here. As the input number, I'll come to that later. First, let me enter it. So 3 PUB challenge response is done. We have to enter it to the database. So to enter, just I'll simply copy paste it so that no mismatch occurs. I guess I have filled it up correctly. Let me just check on it. The same challenge and its corresponding response, the same challenge and its corresponding response, challenge, and yeah, it is done. Now I have to add the ID of that IoT device. That is, we previously set it in our code. So I will first check it, the IP address, the MAC ID. For that, we will use the file transfer protocol, that is WinSCP, and here we will connect to the client to check that MAC address. Yeah, so we got the access, remote access of the files. So I will go to the folder, and here we will go. This is the MAC. Actually, we are handwritten. We have written it manually, but you can also put for the MAC. That will not be a problem. So that now I will enter as a MAC ID. So it is entered. Okay, so done. So I will ping it and I will store it to the database. So the information is added to the database. Okay, so the one-time enrollment phase is done. And the server automatically using the fuzzy extractor generate the key and the helper data and store it to the database. So this is done automatically. We don't have to do anything by manual. Now this phase for the connection initialization phase. Now as we come to this protocol, now here, now as the IoT device is deployed in the open network and the server is in somewhere else, so we will now go to that phase, the connection establishment. Connection, for the connection establishment, IoT device will communicate with the server, and this is the handshaking communication protocol we have designed, pub-based communication protocol. So I will just run the client so you can get to know the client. Okay, one thing, to run the client, before that I have to check the PUB, the FPGA board, where it is connected using in which port of the client. For that I will go once more time to the client address. That is First, using that command, I will check the USB port. I will check the USB port. This is sorry, this will be TT1. That is USB 2 and USB 1. Where this path, just a second. Yeah, this path is, as you can, let me come to that. This is the path, and this path is connected to the, and this is the port, USB port where it is connected. So we will collect the data using our code. Yeah. So for that, USB 1. So we will go to the USB 1. So I will just modify the code using. Yeah. This is USB 1 is also given, so no problem with that. Just simply save it. Using this port, this serial port, I will get the pub data or that FPGA board access, FPGA board access. Okay. So I will go to the client and I will execute the client. Yeah. Client is also running on the server. This is now this. To establish a connection by the IoT device with the router, here you, on clicking the connect button, this following setup phase will done, and then it will, if any matches in the database found, then the IoT device will connect. So I will, as I enrolled with that challenge response pair, so I will just click on the connect and we will check whether the IoT device can connect to the server or not. And in behind you can check the code also. Yeah, you can see the connection successful. So I can connect the IoT device, the pub based IoT device, using the server. And this is the background code that we execute. Follow here, the corresponding challenge is made with that hash value, and it's stored. And one more thing, in our protocol here, the database C1, R1, C2, R2, C3, R3. First, the initialization, after the initial authentication is complete, we just renew it. Just in the stored phase, we changing the database. So it is that C1 new, R1 new, C2 new, R2 new, C3 new. So the new database, you can also see. Sorry, this is the server from the information. If we again execute here the new database that is completely different from the others. As you can, this is the ID and this is the new challenge that is generated here. This is the new challenge. Yeah, can you see C1.C3? This is the new challenge. C2.C3 new challenge, and C3 John Dons. This is the new challenge and the corresponding response. So these are the new challenge created from the previous challenge. If let me see if yeah, this is the challenge. C1, C2, C1, C2, C3. All these things and the corresponding response. The responses others cannot see because it is in hash values, or using Fuzzy extractor we have just encrypted values so that other cannot, adversary cannot check them. Now we will go, if the one try to authenticate using some other path, that is the adversary wants to attack. So adversarial attack we will show. So for that we will change the path module and connect another path module with the IoT device, and then we will check the same thing happens or not. So for that you can see, just using the camera, we are changing this. Yeah, this is the adversary path and we will now replace the original path with the adversary path. I will find the port just to connect it. Yeah. So now the adversary path is connected. Okay. So now again we will check with the code if it can connect to each other. For that, to run the client, first I will close the client and the server also. Server don't affect in server. Again, and I just check if the USB port is correct or not. Now it is changed to USB 2. Okay. So according to that, I will change my code. It is USB 2. Save it. Okay. So now nothing is done. So now again I will run the client and server. So server is running on 5000 port and the client. For the client, yeah, I will run the client at 8000 port. I will go and here the server is running and server having this challenge response database. And now if it is connected, if I want an adversary path want to connect with that same challenge response pair database that is previously stored in the router, so we will check the adversary can gain access to that path or not. So we will try to connect. Let's see. That is internal server. So it cannot execute. And if you go to that code, you can see here the traceback error is found. That is the exception happened to connect to the. Okay. So the response data is not coming. Here you can see. Okay. So in conclusion, we can see that and in the path-based authentication protocol is very much secure, or I can say it is the unclonable features and the uniqueness, randomness, uniqueness feature can uniquely identify an IoT device and also help us to overcome the max spoofing problem of that current Wi-Fi application that we are facing. So this is our conclusion. So it is finish of this. So, thank you for your attention.